Tom, I suppose the first place to start is, why have you taken this decision?
I'll be honest, Rebecca, look, I probably would have liked to have done another year, but I had to take into consideration what can be achieved in a year and the pressures that would bring on the team because of me in that year. And I think it's going to be a very young team. There's an awful lot of them finishing college and some guys just finishing this year, and there's not too many work prospects out there. And I'm not sure if all them young lads are going to be able to stay around. And even the guys that are around next summer, if there's no work for them again, you may find 3 or 4 of them gone to America. And usually it takes the average age of a team is 23 or 4 before you start seeing their potential. And I think the Offaly team for the next couple of years is going to be very, very young. And they don't need the pressure of a manager achieving or not achieving being brought on them. So I felt that it's probably better if someone is put in place for a 3 to 5 year term and people in Offaly take a realistic view of what can be achieved. This year I thought the lads performed very well in certain matches. It's just consistency was our thing. We performed, funny enough, against some of the better teams and got very good results and played great football, and we just didn't keep it consistent.
And when you look back at your own tenure, what are you going to take from the last couple of years?
I really enjoyed working with the guys. The first 2 years or year and a half, it was very, very difficult. And even last year, to be honest, or this year, sorry, guys, when you find an awful lot of young guys have no work and you see the potential that they have, but they're just not able to get their head around given the commitment that's required, purely because some of them with no work, some of them with houses bought and no way of paying bills, others looking, facing the prospect of no future, having to look at going out foreign. And you can understand why an awful lot of them are getting it very hard to get their heads around the commitment then that's required for inter-county football. And but personally, it was a great experience. I really enjoyed working with them, and got decent support from the county board.
You mentioned that the team is going to be quite young. Do you feel there's a lot of potential in the county over the next couple of years? Yeah,
there's a lot of potential, but again, it's about holding on to these guys, and it's about staying injury-free. This year we looked at the start of the year, we were really looking forward to it, and the week before the league started, Ross Brady picked up a bad injury. He was out for the whole league. Niall Darby got offered a job in the army, and it was a huge decision for him, should he take it or not, and he had to take it, which meant he couldn't play the league either. He was out of bounds for 12 weeks. Anton Sullivan dislocated his shoulder with the club, just harmless, pure accident. And next thing, we were missing 3 super players for the league. Joe Quinn didn't come back till the very end of the league. It's amazing that Joe was able to get back playing football at all. So, when you're dealing with a very young team like that, you need a little bit of luck too, You can't afford to be without any of your players. And I think outside the 23 or 4 players that it is limited enough in Offaly at the moment, and if you see the standard of club football there, it's probably not quite where you'd like it to be. And it can only improve, I'm sure, though, if the county gets better,
And what do you think there needs to be an overhaul, maybe, or maybe more investment in maybe underage football in Offaly at the moment? I suppose it's the same in hurling, really.
Well, I think that's underway. You have to look at the size of the clubs, and then when clubs are bringing on young players, is there the work in the area for them? It's holding the players. I'd say if you look in 2007 when they were in a Leinster final at how many of those players are still there. There's 3 or 4 very good young players that were on that team emigrated from work point of view, and unfortunately that's going to keep happening in Offaly, so you might look at the team that's there and think the expectations, in the next 3 to 4 years that they could win a Leinster, and I've no doubt they could, providing all those players stay healthy and stay around, and at the moment, the last year there was about 5 or 6 players in their mid-20s They had to go back to college to try and keep their minds occupied and to try and re-educate themselves so that they're going to be able to find a job going forward. And that's difficult for players like that to have financial commitments, and they're going back and they're trying to live on very, very small income, and it's not very easy, and it's not going to be any easier for the next manager. Like, those things are never taken into consideration when people look at results. They don't look at, like last year we had players travelling from Galway, Limerick, Waterford, Wexford, with 6 or 7 in Dublin. Like, huge commitments travelling from those distances to come training, and I don't think that's ever really taken into consideration,
And for the new manager coming in, would you have any advice, or do you think there's anything in particular he should look at?
Maybe I'd have a one-on-one with him, and have, fill him in maybe just a report on all the different players that I went through and things like that, if he had any interest. But look, that's up for him to maybe throw some fresh ideas on it, and maybe if he can get the consistency that I didn't get out of the players, I've no doubt that Offaly should win Division 3 next year and move on to, hopefully better things in the championship,
And just finally, Tom, what's your own plans?
Look, I'm not sure yet, Rebecca. I like working in football. I love working with teams. I'd probably like to try and stay a bit nearer home. I do a lot with my own club, and I'll go back doing that again. I enjoy it, and maybe at some stage get involved nearer home,